lot to be proud of our achievements in these 3.5 decades. Our reach and depth has gained momentum, and we take great pride in the range of the initiative that the organization have taken. On overarching aim of course to foster the bilateral trade, and the ICCC plays a vital role in this regard. We have grown from being an umbrella organization to the Indian diaspora to become a business organization that's the voice of the small business. Along the way, we have welcomed and continue to welcome the growing band of India Watchers. This combination of the Indo-Canadian community and the India Watchers make for a distinct Canadian advantage and brings new meaning to our motto, "We mean business." However, this year, instead of talking about the past, I want to talk about the future. This is because of the two significant developments. The first is the new headquarters of the Chamber, and the second is the new government in India. Let me begin with the first. Last year, ICCC created history when it acquired a 6,000 square feet building that will become its headquarters. This is a significant event in the 37-year-old history of the Chamber. The building will open new growth venues at a time when the Canada-India economic relations are up on upswing and the Indo-Canadian population is coming on its own. In addition to serving as a venue for events and being the operational headquarters, the new building will also house the proposed Center for Excellence in the Entrepreneurship that the Chamber will be launching this year. This new center aims to foster entrepreneurship within the Indo-Canadian community and create successful businesses through mentorship, training, and incubation. It will be a repository of the knowledge that will utilize research and the entrepreneurial talent available both within the Canadian mainstream and within the Indo-Canadian community. Its effort will be to translate and apply that knowledge to generate the economic and the social benefits for the community and the society. The other significant development has been the new government in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads a government that has the strength, the conviction, and the vision to usher in the swift changes required in the Indian economy to give a new thrust and direction. Particularly, Canada has consistently maintained high level of relationship with the India's new Prime Minister when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. In fact, Canada was the partner country for his significant global investment convention, the Vibrant Gujarat. I led one of the largest foreign delegation to the last edition of the convention in 2013. Our delegation comprised 200 Canadian small businesses and included federal ministers and the members of the parliament. In fact, our chamber was the first to invite Honorable Modi to Canada. In this special relationship that India's Prime Minister has with Canada that will usher its path-breaking changes in the bilateral relations between Canada and India. I'm sure all of you are aware that the Prime Minister Harper was among the first leaders to call the Indian Prime Minister in May as soon as the result of the parliamentary elections became known. He invited Prime Minister Modi to visit Canada in 2014, a visit that we at the Chamber and the Indo-Canadian community at a large eagerly look forward to. The key agenda for both the government will be to complete the negotiations and sign the comprehensive economic partnership agreement and the foreign investment promotion and the protection agreement. Our chamber is the most suited organization to bring about this transforming in the bilateral relations between Canada and India. Our theme this year, Unleashing the Power of the Diaspora, Building for a New Future, reflects this new optimism that we all feel about the Canada-India ties. This theme encapsulates the new beginning at the Chamber as symbolized by the new building, and it also captures the dawn of a new hope and the new government in the New Delhi has inspired. It is heartening that we have, Honorable Joe Oliver, we have Honorable Jason Kenney, we have the High Commissioner of India to Canada, Nirmal Verma, here, who has been key advocates when we speak about the Canada-India relation. And when I speak about my India mission, this mission, when I led from the chamber, Honorable Joe Oliver joined us in India. The last mission when in 2013, Honorable Jason Kenney was with us in India. And Honorable Jason Kenney also invited the Honorable Chief Minister at that time, Modi, and now the Prime Minister of India. Together, we all optimize the best of the Canada brain power that is working to enhance the relations between Canada and India. At a chamber, we have always modified our approach in meeting our mandate so that we remain relevant and we are able to grow. During the last couple of years, we launched a few initiatives that has given us splendid results. Our focus on the small and the medium businesses has been an important component of our India mission. We have used the successive missions to increase the awareness of brand Canada in India and brand India in Canada. The Chamber has also expanded its network in India to enable better trading. More or less basically to grow the opportunities in the Canadian and the Indian small businesses. In the last 2 years, the Chamber has signed Memorandum of Understanding with 12 trade organizations in India. And our partner, Indo-Canada Business Chamber, has brought an inward delegation comprising 15 members who are present today. So let's give a round of applause to and let's welcome them all today. If you all can stand wherever you are sitting, I appreciate that. Thank you. Friends, growth is an imperative in our world, whether it's a bilateral trade or the growth of the organization. I'm proud to say that our chamber has been growing consistently on all the measurable parameters, membership, outreach, programs, and events. Our membership crossed the 2,000 mark last year, and we have reached into the new segments. Let me conclude by reminding you of my promise that I made last year. I had said that we as a chamber had completed the first phase of our journey. It was the phase of creation and survival. It was a difficult period. I'm aware that this journey would not have been possible without the support and the encouragement of everyone who is present in this room today, and our supporters and the well-wishers across Canada. ICCC's new headquarters and a government in Delhi have heralded the second phase. Thank you. This is the phase of consolidation and growth. The phase will have its own challenges, but I am confident that we will succeed. We will grow because of the support we get from our members, our sponsors, and our stakeholders. On behalf of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, I like to thank all of you for your continued support. Thank you and have a great evening.
By the way, Huma, is it just me, or is it a little too serious in this room today?
A little bit, but
a little bit.
You're here, you'll fix that.
Well, thank you, but you know, I know we're business people, but I think business people like to have fun, right?
They do.
You guys like to have fun? No, come on. Can we actually say it like we actually mean it, like we would like to have fun? Because who'd you rather do business with, Mr. Serious, or Mrs. Fun? Somebody who's actually sunny. Let's generate some fun here.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Why don't you speak some Hindi? Why don't you tell me how great I look in Hindi?
Wow. I'm such a coconut. I'm brown on the outside, I'm white on the inside.
Hindi kamzor hai bechari ki.
Huh?
All right, moving right along. What's coming up next?
By the way, you look lovely.
Oh, see,
that's
look at
the extent of my
Very
Hindi.
good.
You look lovely.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring up to the stage at this point Rajni Tekriwal, the corporate secretary of the ICCC, who's going to introduce our chief guest this evening.
Good evening, everybody. It is my proud privilege today to introduce our chief guest, Honorable Joe Oliver. Mr. Oliver was appointed as the Minister of Finance in March 2004. Previously, he was Canada's Minister of Natural Resources. As you all may already be knowing, Mr. Oliver is a great friend of India. He understands the nuances that underline the intricate relations between Canada and India. He has an abiding conviction that these relations will grow enormously and rapidly in near future. Mr. Oliver has zealously built a foundation of cooperation between our countries that matches Canada's vast natural resources, assets with India's insatiable energy needs. Please join me in welcoming our chief guest, Honorable Joe Oliver.
Thank you so much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to represent Prime Minister Harper in celebrating your annual awards and gala night. At the tender age of 37, your organization is Canada's largest Indo-Canadian institution. It is wonderful to see again Naval Bajaj, who has contributed so much to advancing the interests of the Indo-Canadian community, raise its profile in Canada, and foster the commercial relationship between Canada and India. Bravo, Naval. In doing so, he is following in the tradition of his predecessor, Satish Thakkar, whom I'm also very pleased to see again. It's a particular pleasure to be here to witness the awards ceremony that recognizes the contribution of outstanding individuals, including my colleague Jason Kenney. His accomplishments will be described later in the program, but I want to say that he has contributed so much to Canada, advocating and advancing our values and interests, and reaching out and acknowledging the amazing contribution of our cultural communities, including, so importantly, the Indo-Canadian community. He is an exceptional Canadian, and I'm so proud to call him a friend. I would also like to recognize several other hardworking colleagues and friends. Minister Bal Gossel, MP for Bramley Gore Malton and Minister of State for Sport. Deepak Oberoi, Member of Parliament for Calgary East, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and perhaps the most traveled parliamentarian in Canadian history. I'd also like to recognize Parm Gill, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Veterans Affairs and MP for Brampton Springate. As well, Patrick Brown, MP for Barrie. Brad Butt, MP for Mississauga-Streetsville. and Joe Daniel, MP for Don Valley East, and Vladislav Lizon, Member of Parliament for Mississauga East, Cooksville. Also, Her Worship, Susan Fennell, Mayor of Brampton. I must say, this is a tremendous turnout of important parliamentarians and an indication of how important we all feel about this connection with the Indo-Canadian community and with India. Ladies and gentlemen, I've visited India many times, and I know full well the good work this organization does to deepen the cultural and academic ties between India and Canada, strengthen our friendship, and build the bonds of trade and commerce. When I spoke to this organization in February, I mentioned a book entitled India, the Rise of an Asian Giant. The title is fitting. If the 21st century is destined to be the Pacific century, it will belong to a significant degree to this Asian giant, and for Canada, that creates an historic opportunity. For ours is a partnership of paramount importance and a priority for Canada, and in many ways, a natural partnership. After all, our two countries share so much. Two democracies, members of the Commonwealth, rooted in the values of liberty, justice, human rights, and care for the needy. Based on those values, we collaborate closely to strengthen the global economic environment. Canada and India co-chair the G20 Framework Working Group. This body is the foundation of our collective goal of strong, sustainable, balanced growth. And of course, Canada and India share the greatest bond of all, people. Today, more than 1.2 million Canadians trace their roots to India, including 500,000 from the Punjab and 300,000 from Gujarat. So demography, quite literally, has made us family. And our family ties stretch across the Pacific to every corner of both great nations. The actions of both our governments have built on this partnership. Since 2008, Indian ministers have visited Canada 10 times. Canadian ministers have made a total of 13 visits to India, including my second official visit this year. Last November, during his 6-day state visit to India, Prime Minister Harper announced the signing of the Canada-India Social Security Agreement. It enables Canada and India to better coordinate pensions and other benefits for those who have worked in both countries. I also had the opportunity to enhance trade and investment ties, including the Canada-India Nuclear Cooperation Agreement, which opens up a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for Canada to sell uranium and nuclear supplies and services to India. This is part of our strong complementary interests in the energy sector. We need to diversify our markets, and India wants to diversify its sources of supply, including with Canada, a secure and reliable friend. And now, as Minister of Finance, I'm looking forward to visiting India again in the near future to build on our achievements. Bilateral merchandise trade grew from $1.8 billion in 2001 to $5.8 billion last year. Two-way investment in 2001 was $174 million. It increased in 2013 to $4.4 billion. So that is the story of the past decade, but what about the next? The ambitious goal set by our leaders is to increase trade to $15 billion in a few years, and it can be done because India is a giant that is still growing. India is currently the world's 4th largest energy consumer and is expected to quadruple its electricity supply within the next 25 years. As the Indian middle class gets larger, demands for goods and services expand exponentially. So Canada is well positioned to help meet that demand. India and Canada are on the cusp of a new era of commerce that will create jobs and benefit both our countries. I know personally that there is an immense potential in the energy sector, as there is in agriculture. But it goes even further. Just as one example, ICCC participated in India Mission 2014, the largest trade delegation of small and medium-sized Canadian businesses to visit India, a tremendous effort to build commerce with our SMEs. All this potential is integral to Canada's Economic Action Plan. Since the Great Recession, we have been creating jobs, growth, and prosperity for Canadian families, which has always been our top priority. From around the world, one lesson rings true: no government can tax or spend its way to prosperity. So we have cut taxes, including the GST, income taxes, and business taxes. In fact, we have lowered taxes close to 180 times since taking office. And today, I'm proud to say that the federal tax burden is the lowest level in more than 50 years. An average family of four now saves $3,400 on their federal tax bill. At the core of our Economic Action Plan is a commitment to return to balanced budgets next year. In fact, the federal deficit is expected to decline to under $3 billion this year, followed by a surplus of more than $6 billion in 2015-16. But reducing debt is more than black ink on the bottom line. Balanced budgets lead to more investment, more jobs, and more growth. A balanced budget means fewer taxpayer dollars spent on interest payments. My friends, I am a conservative finance minister. I believe Canadians deserve to keep more of their own hard-earned money. I believe businesses create more jobs when taxes are low, when government supports them instead of getting in their way. When the budget is balanced next year, our first priority will be to cut taxes for Canadians, your taxes, and put more money back in your pockets. At the end of the day, you know how best to spend and save your money rather than some government bureaucrat. My friends, fairness is also at stake. A balanced budget means we do not saddle our children and our grandchildren with more of our debt. No parent wants to do that to their children. Our government does not want to do that for the next generation of young Canadians, and we will not do it. The next budget will not open the taps on reckless spending. We will not go down that irresponsible path to economic decline. In closing, let me repeat that our government commends the tremendous efforts of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce to strengthen the bonds connecting Canada and India. A month ago, Prime Minister Stephen Harper was one of the first government leaders to congratulate Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his party's outstanding electoral success. Our Prime Minister noted, Canada and India enjoy a rich, long-standing relationship underpinned by strong people-to-people ties and a 1 million member strong Indo-Canadian community. I look forward to working with the new government of India, he said, to further strengthen our social and economic partnership to the benefit of all our citizens. I couldn't agree more. Prime Minister Modi has made job creation and economic growth his top priority. It's a priority both he and Prime Minister Harper share. Together with India and the help of everyone in this room, let us together pave the way towards a brighter future for all our people. Thank you. Bahut dhanyavad.
A big thank you to the Honorable Joe Oliver for that lovely speech. Big round of applause, everyone. Now, I'd like to please welcome onto the stage Mr. D.P. Jain, the VP of Finance at the ICCC, to introduce our next speaker for the evening. Mr. D.P. Jain, please make your way to the stage.
Good evening, friends. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce retired Admiral Nirmal Verma. Admiral Verma is the High Commissioner of India in Canada since 2012. He was commissioned into Indian Navy in 1970. He is an alumnus of the National Defense Academy. The Admiral's 4 decades of services afforded him immense experience in command, staff, and training assignments afloat as well as ashore. His career has provided him vast amalgamated experience at the national as well as international level. He is a recipient of Param Vishisht Seva Medal and Ati Vishisht Seva Medal awarded to him by the Government of India for his meritorious services. Friends, please join me in welcoming High Commissioner Admiral Verma.
Mr. Naval Bajaj, President, India-Canada Chambers of Commerce and his team, the senior political leadership, both at the federal level and at the state. I think we are very fortunate to have such a large number of them participating, so I'm not, in fact, naming them, but it really makes, their presence makes this function so complete and also indicates the interest as far as the Indo-Canadian relationship is concerned. At the outset, I would like to thank ICCC for inviting me and my wife to this gala and award ceremony. And I would also like to take this opportunity to compliment ICCC on the extraordinary efforts in promoting the Canada-India bilateral relationship. Whilst at one hand, governments work to promote such a relationship, it's organizations such as ICCC, as also others, who really take it forward and give it that extra momentum which is so essential. And I would say if there has been significant progress, and it has indeed been very significant over the last few years, ICCC has contributed in no small measure to make this happen. They have led delegations to India, as you saw during the report at the start of this function. And they have not only worked closely with businesses and federal authorities, I think what stands out is the effort put in to visit the states. Because in India, whilst at one end you may have federal policies laid out, but the execution can only happen if the states are on board. And I must say that this has stood out as far as the India-Canada relationships is concerned. Whilst I did mention about ICCC, I think the same goes for the political leadership of this country, who have taken the trouble to extend their stays and visit outlying states to the extent possible. And I know, for instance, like Minister Kenny was on the screen as well, and I believe our Prime Minister refers to him as Jason Bhai. Bhai meaning brother, so he's part of family. This outreach by ICCC has yielded good results, and the connectivities that they have built up over the years, including, like I said, over the visit to states, will pay off very well in taking us forward. As I speak today, India has recently completed its federal election, which has been called by many as the celebration of democracy. We had an electoral roll of 810 million, a record 66.4% of 540 million cast their votes, and delivered a clear verdict in favor of a single political party after a gap of nearly 30 years. It was indeed a mega exercise. Just to give you a small example, our laws require that a citizen should be able to walk to the polling booth to cast his vote. So we required nearly 1 million polling booths. In fact, there's one of them which has just one person. He's located in a small temple in a game sanctuary. But you have this team of poll officials who go there, and he casts his vote regularly. Also, for the first time in independent India, leaders of all South Asian neighbors and Mauritius were invited to the swearing-in ceremony of the new Council of Ministers on May 26. They graciously accepted the invite, and their presence was symbolic of the convergence of our shared hopes and aspirations in the region. As would be expected, the world is curious to see the course that would be charted by the new government. I think the most recent lead that one can take is from the address to the Parliament by the President of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, on June 9th, where in effect, he outlined the vision of the new government. This address is akin to the Crown speech that is delivered in Canada. The new government has outlined growth, development, and creation of jobs, which was a thrust during the course of the election campaign, and this certainly has been the dominant theme of the President's address as well. In the process, the government intends to reignite the investment cycle and restore the confidence of the domestic and international community in India's economy. The President's address, in fact, reflects the current thrust areas of the Canada-India cooperation, which, if I have to summarize, encompass energy and power, infrastructure, the agri-chain and food processing, education and skill development, some of them were covered to an extent by Honorable Minister Oliver. As mentioned, growth is required because we need to create 10 million jobs a year in India, because that's the number of young people joining the job market. Obviously, this growth has to take place in the manufacturing sector, and there are certain deficiencies which have to be set right. And primary amongst them is energy and power. And these are areas where there's a natural fit as far as Canada and India are concerned. We have done pretty well in power generation, augmentation all this while, but this is going to be augmented substantially more with a judicious mix of conventional and non-conventional sources. The solar sector will be expanded substantially. Whilst we've been talking about development in the country, there's also a tremendous thrust on protection of the environment, and connected with that would be a plan for clean Ganges. That's the main river which flows through India. And there are technologies which one hears about, reads about, and has been briefed about in Canada, which would be useful in this mission. Similarly, there's a national mission being set up on the Himalayas, and I think the output of this efforts that would go on would be particularly useful even for the Arctic Council, where India has been admitted as an observer. Coming to infrastructure, it remains the top priority as far as India is concerned. A fast-track, investment-friendly, and predictable public-private partnership mechanism will be put in place. With the speech made by the President, the government has identified modernization of railways as on top of the infrastructure agenda. It also includes high-speed trains, which will be connecting the short-distance stations first, the big ones, and thereafter across the country. The rail freight corridors, which are already under progress, would also have agri-rail networks for perishable agricultural products. The railways will be taken to the hilly states and northeast region. I guess this is one area where we could exchange notes with the Canadian experience on operating railways in the Rocky Mountains. The government is also looking forward to develop low-cost airports to promote connectivity to smaller towns, and would also be evolving a model for ports-led development. Urban infrastructure in India is under stress, and therefore it is intended to build another 100 cities so that we don't have any further crowding as far as the existing cities are concerned. And these cities would be on specialized domains. Obviously, if we have this 10 million people joining the job market, you require skill development. Now here, the government will strive to break barriers between formal education and skill development. With the goal of Skilled India, the government intends to launch a national multi-skill mission. I see that the agreement signed between the Association of Canadian Community Colleges and the National Skill Development Council of India